Richer than I ever been. Yeah.
I'm richer than I've ever been.
All praise to the Most High. Richer than I ever been before. Yeah.
I'm richer than I've ever been. Richer than I've ever been.
Yeah. Okay. Look. Okay, I'm richer than I ever been. I'm supposed to be dead. Made it out the trap like Daniel in the lion's den. Watch rain like the weatherman. Yeah, fresher than a plug of men. They think I'm selling drugs again. 12 gates, 12 tribes, the outer courts for the Gentiles. If they ain't Jacob, got a buzz of men. And my spirit bear witness to the blood of Shem. Hamashiach be the rock, I shoot above the rim. My people underprivileged say we will never win. Demasculate our men through sword turns to estrogen. Snakes will stab you in the back with the helping hand. The great I am who protects the brand. Through a walk, I detect the scams and the scammers. Wars bananas in pajamas, now bananas in our hammers. Unequally yoked, man, I had to scramble. Menorah flame, consume that jack-o'-lantern. They'll call and check on you, not cause they concerned. Hoping that it's stress on you, they just trying to confirm. Can't be laying down with everybody. What is you thinking? STDs ain't just diseases, sexually transmitted demons. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I studied great minds, made wine out of everything I heard through the grapevine. I'm high of life, not even the plane or Mary Jane can get you to this height. Will they miss me when I die? When I'm dead and gone, when they can't see my smile, it ain't no more new songs. Even my haters hurt. It was their job to ridicule me and I gave them work. Keep pushing through it, ain't no profit in stopping. Got the prodigies watching, make the colonists copy. Psalm 91:7, all these bodies keep dropping. I ain't been grazed since my odyssey started. 10,000 angels guard me as I travel places uncharted. 4:16 Galatians, guess that make me a target. Assassinated Martin, keep my arrowhead sharp in. Baptized straight up out that water like a shark's fin. Bloodline, royalty more deeper than my dark skin. Tears cried, drug throughout the mud, that's where my heart been. Wartime, only reason that you see me marching. Purified, position solidified, integrity dignified. 12 tribes identified, verses precepts memorized. Curses we get penalized, neighborhoods got gentrified. Churches helped in our demise. Research every bar and line. The truth out there ain't hard to find. Health is well, please take care of yourself. And I love you if you ain't heard it from nobody else. Richer than I yeah. See this smile on my face, do you know what it cost me? Tell me they love me, then they turn around and cross me. They say shalom, but wanna see me in a coffin. One for Iberia spill, I would've lost it. When I'm never present, when they talking about me, and that's often. No sweat, I'm suited for it like the office. Cause betrayal had to learn to move with caution. Never shown too much, that's what it taught me. Dropping salt, they just give me more flavor. Keep the law, they just give me more favor. Think first before you approach and engage them. Steady spirits wanna know their behavior. We was hurting but couldn't show that it fazed us. Down and out, we lost everything. All we had was no prayers. What's the use of the game if it don't come with no players? I was tired of that. You full of pride, I can't vibe with that. What you speak, you can die for that. Talk ain't cheap. So blessed, the neighbors think we selling dope. 15 with the Beretta in his coat, and they seldom get a letter from his folks. Contracts by a body politician selling hope. Last time he saw his son, he was being deployed. Being violent, only thing that seemed to fill that void. See no evil, neither spoken, he ain't hearing that noise. Reminiscing, sipping whiskey, it's just him and his boys. That's the old days. Dancing with his wife, listening to the OJs. Memphis 10, Crystal Palace on the rollerblades. Remember leaving Save a Lot with the Flavor Aid. New Park Cemetery where them Westwood soldiers laid. These black problems. Pack station 12 hours cause back problems. Trigger finger itching, elders trying to scratch off them. Private prisons making stacks off us. And they spirits how they feeling me. Pride come before destruction and honor after humility. They get offended by the truth when they used to lies. When you stand against the system, you get crucified like Messiah did. I wash my hands with niggas like Pilate did. In the driveway, late night, freestyling with secrets made me better. I'm forever grateful. My city just like Gotham, to some it might look appealing. Filled with crooks and villains, you can get your issue. I'm talking books a million, we really need some healing. When it snowed, the homeless on the bridges. Know it's on me, bundled in my britches. Bless my fam, curse who come against it.
Kuwab Hashabata, Masha Patnasha, Zaka Hakodeshaba, Shuwab La Hatawara, La Ayara, Kobal Haban, Kobal Haruak, Haya Awa, Haya Salam, Lamad Mayan Hamelek, Iraya Sala, Zahadawa, Iwa Parath Hagawayam, Yakal Nasayawan, Alabahadam, Alabahashim. Allah Bahadam, Allah Bahashim, Hallelujah, Barak Hashem, Barak Hashem, Hallelujah, 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 Hawalaya, 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 Allah Bahashim, Allah Bahadam, Allah Bahashim, Allah Bahadam, Allah Bahashim. Hallelujah, le Kwaza Sapa, Kobal Haruak, Kobal Haruak, Kobal Haruak, Kobal Haruak. Hallelujah.
Babylon is falling, no more time for us to leave. They can't shake my faith, Abba got his hands on me. It's power in the blood, wholeheartedly believe. Allah Bahadam, Messiah died for you and me. Babylon is falling, no more time for us to leave. They can't shake my faith, Abba got his hands on me. It's power in the blood, wholeheartedly believe. Allah Bahadam, Messiah died for you and me. Babylon is falling, no more time for us to leave. They can't shake my faith, Abba got his hands on me. It's power in the blood, wholeheartedly believe. Allah Bahadam, Messiah died for you and me.
All right, shalom, 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 Chag, Pawawam, Sameach. All right, happy feast of Purim, family. All praise to the Most High. giving honor, glory, first and foremost to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, just thanking him for another day, thanking him that he's allowed us to make it to this day. Right. So we give all praises, we give all glory, we give all honor. Tonight, I've got my Banyathium on the class with me, right? As we get ready to bring out this lesson, we just going to hit some points, and then we are going to go and get ready to bring in this feast day and celebrate all praises. So we're going to first go ahead and we're going to begin. We're going to start in the book of Esther. This is where we get the feast of Purim. You're going to see why it's called Purim in the text that we're going to go over today. Right, we're going to get the understanding of that and see what this feast is really all about. All right, see what it's all about, and understand that this is a feast day that we should be keeping as a people. Our people have been persecuted throughout the years. We've been going into different captivities throughout the years, and we've, as a people, we've pushed through. We've persevered through all of the different trials, the different things that were meant to destroy us, and that's all praise to the Most High. The Most High said that, if the sun, moon, and stars, paraphrasing, could be destroyed, or can they be counted, then again, paraphrasing, his people would never perish if that could happen. But so we're going to go ahead. We're going to get into it. I know it's late on the East Coast. Amma is already cutting up in the chat, talking about what time it is out there. So we're not going to keep this going too long. All right. So I am going to be having my eldest daughter. She's going to be reading. And now there was a reason why I wanted to include my daughter in this class that we are going to be going over today, and that'll become evident as we can continue to read and as we continue our study. All right. So that being said, my Kira, do you have your sword open? And if you got YouTube going, you're gonna have to mute the YouTube.
What do you mean YouTube, Daddy?
I'm just saying if you got it going, because otherwise there'd be an echo.
Oh, okay. My Bible's at Grandma's house, so my iPad.
Oh my goodness.
My virtual sword.
All right, fine. So be it. All right, we're going to go to the book of Esther. We're going to start in the book of Esther. So go ahead. Zay, do you have your Bible? Where's your Bible at? You should have had it already.
Oh, you heard her.
And this is what you do when this is what happens when you get the young ones involved. So Baba Kashar, bear with us. All right, I ain't gonna be pulling a lot of precepts just because I know it's gonna be slow motion. The ones I do have, I'll read them myself. All right, so you can just, all you gotta do is worry about Esther. That's it. All right, worry about Esther.
Esther what?
Esther, chapter 1. We're gonna start in Esther, the book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Esther.
Now.
Yes, but read it clear, read it strong.
Okay. Now it came to pass in the days of
What are you reading? What are you reading? What are you reading?
Esther chapter 1, verse 1.
There you go. Let's go.
Esther chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus, which reigned
So
from India even unto
the name is pronounced
Ethiopia.
Ahasuerus.
What'd you say?
The name is pronounced Ahasuerus.
Ahasuerus. Sorry. From in over in 107 and 20 provinces. That in those days when the king Ahasuerus, did I say it right? Sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan Palace. In the third year of his reign.
Hold on. Stop right there. So real quick. So this king Ahasuerus, right, who's reigning, this in history, this is the King Xerxes the First, right? If anybody is familiar with the movie 300, where you had the 300 Greeks where they went and they stood against the Persian army. Do you remember that movie? If you saw the movie 300, put a 1 in the chat. If you saw the movie 300, this king Ahasuerus is King Xerxes the First. This is the king that this is speaking of. This is an actual man. This is actual history here that we are learning about. This man existed, and again, we can actually see records of him in secular history. There's records of him in secular history. All right. So that is who this king is. Okay. So it says, I'm going to take over right here in verse 3. The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 3. In the third year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him. All right. Now that's important. And I'm going to show you why that's important as we read further on into this story. Okay, so when we start out this book, it's in the third year of King Xerxes the First, Ahasuerus. It's the third year of his reign. We're going to jump down to verse number 9. Verse number 9 says, also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagata, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. So this king Xerxes, he wanted to show off his wife. He wanted to show his wife off to everybody who was there, who had came for the festivities. Obviously, she must have been a really pretty woman. Of course, the king is not going to have nothing less than someone who's, immaculate, right? Whose beauty was just going to make people's jaws drop. So he has his wife, and he sends his servants to go get his wife, to bring her out so he can show his wife out to everybody, right? Who's there. Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. So this king is upset because the queen done denied him. She said, no, I ain't coming. Right? Now, this is the king, and his wife is telling him, and it really embarrassing them in front of everybody that's done come out for this festivity. Right? We're going to jump down to verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? because she have not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And the Mumkin answered before the king and the princess, Vashti the queen have not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. So now you got, these other cats that's there. They like, hold up, she hasn't just did the king wrong, but she's did everybody here wrong as well too. Everybody, men throughout all the provinces. And why? How did she do that? Well, keep reading. Verse 17. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. So now all of these other guys that's there, they saying this is going to spread throughout. Everybody's going to hear about this. All the women is going to hear about this. Salakia, how the queen commanded for her to come out, but she didn't. She said, nah, she wasn't coming out. And so what is this going to do? Well, all the other men are worried that, this act of rebelliousness, this show of rebelliousness is going to spread. And we see something like that similar in today's time, or we saw something like that similar in today's time back in, I want to say maybe the 50s or the 60s, when it came out with, women saying that they could do everything that a man can do. When women start, want to get the same jobs that men want to get, right? Women saying that, they don't need men, they're strong, they're independent, all this, that, and the third. And what did that do? That actually spread amongst women. And really, particularly, it really spread amongst our women. Because you can go to every other culture of people, and though, yes, you do have those that are like to, tout that they are strong and they independent and they don't need a man for nothing. That's the minority in these other races, in these other ethnicities. That's the minority, because for the most part, the women understand their roles, right? But I don't want to go off on a tangent on that. The whole point is that these other men that were there, they were worried about the defiance of the queen and how that would filter down to their wives and so forth, and how their wives would then become rebellious as well too. Okay. Verse 18. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. So they're saying, man, this is going to spread. It's going to be like wildfire. Y'all remember when we was at Tabernacles and y'all set that tree on fire, or y'all started the fire, and we was worried about it, because if that tree had went up in the blaze, that fire would have jumped quickly, and there would have been nothing that we can do. It would have been all bad. It would have been wildfire. We would have been on the 5, 10, 6, 7 o'clock news channels, starting a wildfire in Northern California, because y'all want to play with fire. So these brothers or these men, they're like, yo, this ain't cool. It's gonna cause contempt, and it's gonna spread to all the women. So verse 19, if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. So they like, yo, get rid of her, cut her off, get a replacement. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. So this is going to cause all the wives throughout the kingdom to do what? To honor their husbands. Now, we're going to go ahead. We're going to jump to chapter 2. Mike, I want you to go ahead and pick up reading right there at chapter 2, verse 1. You're on mute.
Yes. Chapter 2, verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
All right, stop right there. Stop right there. I want you to pause. Now, what we don't really read right here in these first couple verses is how much time has passed. But we're going to see as we continue to read down in the chapter that there's a period of time that has gone by. And we're going to learn that in this chapter, how much time has gone by. And I want you to remember, we got what year that this was taking place in chapter 1. It said it was the 3rd year of his reign when he had the through the feast, right? That was the 3rd year of his reign. Actually, we're going to go to it right now. I want you to go to verse 16. Actually, no, never mind. Don't go to verse 16. Let's just go to verse 4. We'll come there.
Okay. Chapter 2, verse 4. Maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Right. All right. So now look, they're his people are saying, look, let the maiden, whoever you're going to choose, right? Whoever you're going to choose, because they want to get this Vashti out of there. They want to get Vashti out because she's cancerous. She's poison, right? She's going to have all of the women in the kingdom acting up. And so they want to get her out. And so now what are they saying? I'm going to read verse 4 again. This is the book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 4. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. So the king is with it. He like, yeah, you know what? We're going to get her up out of here. Let's bring somebody new in. All right. Read verse 5.
3, verse 5. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew who?
This is
What
chapter
happened?
2. Chapter 2, verse 5.
Yeah. What did I
3.
say? Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai. The son of Mordecai, the son of Jer, the son of Shemai,
The son of Shimei.
the son of Kish, the son of who?
Just keep reading.
Sorry, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
All right, so now we know that this is Mordecai, or this man, Mordecai, is a Benjamite. So he's a Jew. Because remember, the southern kingdom was composed of Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. That's who was in the southern kingdom. Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. So the southern kingdom, which was Judah, they were called Jews. So even though he was a Benjamite, he was still referred to as a Jew. Okay. I'm going to keep on reading. Verse 6. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took care of his own daughter, or took care for his own daughter. So Hadassah, right, who's her name is actually Hadassah in Hebrew, but it's her name here is Esther, right? But in the Hebrew, she would be called Hadassah. Now it said that, and he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. So her parents were gone. So Mordecai was taking care of Hadassah. Okay, she didn't have no father, no mother. He was taking care of her. Her parents were dead. We're going to jump down to verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and she speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maidens unto the best place of the house of the women. All right. So, in fact, I might as well just read verse 8. We'll read verse 8 and read it through. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. So Esther is brought with the rest of the women, right? Because remember, the king is trying to find a whole new wife. He's looking for somebody who can be queen. Now Hadassah, who's going, is what? She would be also a Jew, because she is Mordecai's niece, who he was taking care of. So Hadassah is a Jew also. But now, because of this decree that's gone out where the king is looking for a new wife, Hadassah is going up. Verse 9, and the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, which such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. So even though Hadassah is a Jew, Mordecai told her not to tell nobody. Don't let anybody know that you are a Jew. And this is important. And we're going to see that why this is important later on in the story as we continue to read. But just keep that in mind, that Mordecai told her, don't tell nobody that you are a Jew. We're going to jump down to verse let's go to verse 15. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was a beautiful woman. Esther was beautiful to look upon. And she obtained favor because of all of the people that looked at her. Where did I leave off at? I'll read verse 15 again. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. Verse 16. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house, royal, in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now remember, we was in the 3rd year in chapter 1, in the 3rd year of his reign. Now we're in the 7th year of his reign. So how many years have passed by? How many years have gone by? All right, so it's been 4 years. 4 years have gone by. From chapter 1 to chapter 2, it's been a period of 4 years. Verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. So the king loved Esther. He chose her above all the women that came out to basically audition to be his wife. Out of all of them, he chose Esther. We're going to jump to verse 20. And Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. So Mordecai was out. He hears 2 of the king's guards or doormen. You know, they're upset with the king. They want to do the king some. They want to hurt him. Mordecai overhears it, and he goes and talks to Esther. He tells Esther, hey, what these 2 dudes are planning. They're plotting on the king. They're mad about what we don't know, but they're mad. They're upset. Okay. Mordecai goes, he tells Esther. Esther then goes and she tells the king, right? And lets him know, hey, who it was that told him that there's a plot on them. All right. Now we're going to go into chapter 3. After these things, did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of I have difficulties with this word, Salakia. Hamadatha, Salakia, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. So now we get into Haman, right? And it calls Haman the Agagite. Now, we have to understand who Haman actually goes back to, who his lineage goes back to. Because Israel has had problems with these people from Jump Street. We've had problems with them from the start. So Haman, it calls him the Agagite. So when you see the ITE at the end of the word, that's basically saying that they go back to, just like Israelite, we go back to Israel. We're descendants of Israel. Agagite, he is a descendant of Agag. So now, who is Agag? All right, so real quick, we're going to turn to the book of Genesis, chapter 36. Book of Genesis, chapter 36, and we're going to get verse number 12. Genesis 36 and verse 12. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. So when you actually go back and go through the history, Agag goes back to Amalek. So Agag is a descendant of Esau. Hence, Haman is a descendant of Esau. So here we got Esau and we got Jacob. Right? We got Amalek and we got Israel. Okay? We're going to grab one more. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. Let's get 1 Samuel chapter 15. First Samuel chapter 15, and actually, I want you to turn to 31. We'll go to chapter 31 first. 1 Samuel chapter 31. And we're going to get verse 1. 1 Samuel chapter 31 and verse 1. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons. And the Philistines slew Jotham and Abinadab and Melchi and Shua, Saul's sons. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Paul unto his armor bearer, Draw thy sword and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me. But his armor bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword and died with him. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor bearer, and all his men, that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they that were on the other side of Jordan, saw that the men of Israel fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled. And the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head and stripped off his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines round about to publish it in the house of their idols and among the people. And they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth. And they fastened his body to the wall of Beth-shan. And when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard of that which the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Beth-shan, and came to Jabesh and burnt them there. And they took their bones and buried them under a tree at Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. Right? So it's important to note that when we're going through like the history and understand who these people are and the role that they're playing, the Israelites were told to destroy the Amalekites. And under Saul, they did not do that. Saul did not destroy the Amalekites as the Most High God commanded him to do. The Most High God told him not to leave none of them alive. Saul did not follow through with the word that the Most High God gave to him. And because of that, when you go through this story, it was actually an Amalekite that took his crown off of his head. But so we're not gonna go through all of that, Salakia. But I just wanted to point out that we've been dealing with Amalek from the very beginning, and from the very beginning, the Most High God. In fact, let's just get that real quick, and then we'll move on, because I don't want to be on here too long tonight, and we're already in 40 minutes. All right. Go to Deuteronomy 25. Go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, and we'll get verse number 17. All right, Deuteronomy 25 and verse 17. And it reads, Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, and thou was faint and weary, and he feared not God. So we've been dealing with Amalek since we came out of Egypt. In fact, the Amalekites were the first ones that we ran into. And from the beginning, they've had a hatred towards us. Esau didn't want to give us no pass. He didn't want to let us go through the land. Right? The Edomites did not want to let us go through the land. And the Most High God told us in verse 17, he said, remember what the Amalekites did to you guys. These people have had a perpetual hatred towards us. And we're going to see that in the book of Esther as we go through this book, because Haman is what? He is a descendant. He is a descendant of Esau. He's a descendant of King Agag. And he's going to plot against us throughout the whole book to have us destroyed, right? Let's go back there. The book of Esther. The book of Esther, and we was in chapter 2. We're going to go right back there. The book of Esther. Salaki was in chapter 3. The book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did the king Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman. For the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Because Mordecai is what? He's a Jew. He's not going to bow down to him. He's not going to give no man that reverence. He only is going to bow down to who? He's going to bow down to the Most High God. Right? That's the only one that Mordecai is going to bow down to. We saw that with Daniel also. Right? Daniel and the other 3 Hebrews, they said, no, we're not bowing down to your statue. You know, they'd rather be put to death than to bow down and give reverence to a man or to a statue or to an idol. Because the first commandment is that we are to love the Lord our God and none else. We're not supposed to have any idols. We're not supposed to be bowing down and worshiping anything other than the Most High God. We're going to keep on reading. We're going to jump down to verse number 4. Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. Now again, here we go. We got Amalek and you got the Jews. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. So now you got this Haman, he's hot, he's pissed off. Like, man, who this Jew think he is? This Jew said he not gonna bow. No, we not rocking like that. You gonna bow. You gonna bow down. You go bow down, or you go lay down, or you go get put down. You know, it's that simple. Verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. So now Haman is like, nah, you know what? We go get rid of all of them. We go kill every last one of them. You know, just killing this one, that's not enough. We got to kill all of the Jews, all his people. And so again, what have they been doing since the beginning? They have been putting together a crafty council. It's been a crafty council to destroy the children of the living God. It's been that. It's still that to this day. Crafty councils that's going out. Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month to the 12th month, that is month Adar, right? So we are in the 12th month right now. We recognize that we were in the 12th month by the new moon. The new moon was on the evening of the 28th was the new moon. That was the day that our month actually began. And we started our count. So this is the 12th month. Next month is going to be the first month. So next month is actually our new year. Next month is the beginning of the new year. And it makes sense because what's happening right now? Springtime, you've got things coming back to life. You got the animals coming back out, showing themselves, you know, waking up from hibernation. Everything's coming back to life now. This is when the new year actually is supposed to begin, when it's supposed to start, not in the middle of winter when it's still freezing cold outside. Everything is still dead. The animals are still hiding out. No, that's not the new year, right? But now, so it said that they begin to cast lots in this month. All right. So basically, real quick, what is a lot? So the lots is like, basically they're shooting dice, right? So when they're casting lots, just to give you kind of a general idea, they're shooting dice to see what's going to happen. All right. Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there's a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, because we've got totally different laws than everybody else. We have our own laws that were given to us by the Most High God. Let me get a precept here really fast. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse chapter 7. Actually, let's let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. It says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Right? So we're that special people that the Most High God chose and set apart above everybody else that's on the face of the earth. Standing on Deuteronomy, go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10 and verse number 12. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. No, that's not the precept that I wanted. I think it's in, let me check real quick. There's another precept that I want to grab. Yeah. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, and I'll start at verse 5. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great people is a wise and understanding people, because we are the only ones that's keeping the laws of the Most High God. Nobody else, no other nation of people are keeping the laws of the Most High God like we are. Nobody. There's no other nation. Even the small hats that live in Israel today, they don't even keep the laws of the Most High God the way that we do. They're not keeping all of the laws down. They're not keeping all of the festivals. There's a book that I have that goes into this, and it's written by one of their own scholars, that he even goes into them keeping feast days and how they're not even actually keeping the feast day. But that's a whole nother topic, right? So going back to Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there's a certain people scattered abroad, because we've been what? We've been scattered throughout the earth. To the four corners of the earth, we have been scattered, right? And he said that they're scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom. And their laws are diverse from all people. Nobody else has these laws. And remember, when Yahushua was when he was talking to his disciples, and he said, where I go, you can't follow me. And they said, where is he going to go? Is he going to go to the dispersed among the Gentiles? Remember, that's what the disciples said, right? Well, what did it just say here in Esther? That they were dispersed. So even when you start talking about who the Gentiles are, right, in the New Testament, the Gentiles in the New Testament that they are referring to are Israelites. They're not actually people from other nations. Another teaching. And their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. So Haman done went, he done pled his cause to the king. He like, look, hey, they not honoring you. These people that spread throughout the regions, throughout the that's dispersed amongst the people, they're not, they got their own laws that they reverence. They don't listen to your laws. And it's going to come a point in time like that for us, the true people who actually keep and honor the law of the Most High God. That day is going to come again, because these judgments, they just go around and around and around. They keep coming back. Well, we could read about that in the book of Esdras, where it talks about the Most High's judgments is like a ring, because they loop around, right? So Haman then went to the king, and he's lobbied to have the Jews destroyed. Upset, he wants to get them killed. He wants to do away with them. The king is in agreement with it. He gives him his ring. So he gives him his ring for what? To have the seal of the king. So it could be a royal commandment that is about to go forth, that these people are to be killed. He says, here's the silver. The silver is given, and the people also do with them as you wish. We're going to jump down to verse 15. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. So, the Jews they was going through it. They're like, yo, this commandment, this decree done went out that we're to be destroyed. Right? While Haman, the Jews' enemy, is sitting back, sipping with the king. You know, he's had his plan go through. He's plotted this, and now his plot is happening. Now the Jews are going to be destroyed. They're going to be killed. Chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry. So Mordecai, when it's saying that he rent his clothes, he ripped up his clothes. And he's taking ashes. He's putting ashes on his head. Mordecai knows what's about to go down. His people are about to be destroyed. And he went out and he cried bitterly. It said with a loud and bitter cry. Because he knows what's about to happen to his people. All right? We want to keep on reading. In fact, I just go on. Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So that's what our people would do when we would have to go through hard times. The Bible says, in fact, let me just grab that real quick. We're gonna get the book of Second Chronicles chapter 7 and verse number 14. One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. Second Chronicles chapter 7 and verse number 14. And it reads, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. So the people that's starting to fast, they're putting sackcloth and ashes on their head. They're going into mourning. There's a cry going out. They're weeping because of this decree that has passed on. And we as a people, I mean, we are living comfortable right now. We're living comfortable. We're living good. We're living in our houses. We got our electricity. We got our nice cars. And we're just going by. When we need to be crying out to the Most High God right now, Most High God, come deliver us from this land of our captivity. But we've gotten too content. We've gotten too comfortable. We're too happy here in the land of our enemies. We're too happy with our lifestyles. We're too happy with living in Babylon, Mystery Babylon. And so because we're so content and we're so happy, the Most High God is going to have to do something to stir us up. What is it going to take for us to wake up and say, wait a minute? I mean, even here, walking in this truth, being in this truth, we are still too comfortable. We're going through life. Hey, it's just another day. And a lot of times, you'll hear brothers and sisters say, oh man, I'm going to the plantation. But those just become words. And it starts to sound good when we say, oh, I'm going to the plantation. But don't really have an understanding about what it meant to actually be on a plantation where you're starting work at the crack of dawn and not ceasing from work until that sun goes down and receiving no wages for that. But brothers and sisters will say today that because you go to your place of employment where a lot of us receive a nice compensation for that work, we say, oh, we got to go to the plantation. No, you really don't truly feel that way. Because where's the lamenting at? Where's the crying out? Where's the praying? Where's the humbling of yourselves? Where is the fasting? How often are you fasting? How often are you denying yourself pleasures? Fasting it, and this is why the Most High God has us fast. Because you're doing what? You are denying your flesh. Even the Messiah, Hamashiach, told us, even in regards to getting certain spirits off of you. To get certain spirits off of you, you have to fast. He said, these kind come not out but by prayer and fasting. So what is it going to take, Israel, Yasharallah, for us to really come together, stop bickering over nonsense, put aside the minute details that keep us from coming together as a people? Oh, this brother doesn't celebrate the new moon on the day that I celebrate the new moon, so I can't rock with that brother. Or this brother, his feast day starts in this month. Hey, brother, you're off. You're breaking the commandments. We have to stop fighting against ourselves and come together to fight our common enemy, our real enemy, and seek the Most High to have him rescue us from this land of our captivities. Many of us don't really look at it as we are truly in the land of our captivity. Anyway, going back to the script. So the book of Esther chapter 4 verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him. But he received it not. So the queen done heard about this, and now she's deeply grieved. Because again, Esther Hadassah is a Jew herself. And the king don't even know it. So by his decree, his own queen is supposed to be killed. But remember, nobody knows that Esther is a Jew. Nobody knows this. But now, so she's grieving. Her chambermaids, they come and tell her about Mordecai. Hey, Mordecai is outside the gate. He done ripped up his clothes. He got sackcloth and ashes on him. And now sackcloth is rough, and it's like those old potato sacks. When you used to have the potato race sacks, that's what sackcloth is. And so Esther, she tries to send them some raiment. She tried to send them some clothes. But Mordecai wasn't having it. He's like, nah, you know what's going on right now? They trying to kill our people. Here in verse 5. Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king, to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. So Mordecai he's sending this message back. He like, look, you gotta go before the king. You gotta, get him to take away this commandment. Told her about the money that's being paid out. Told her about the decree about the Jews are to be killed. And he's like, look, you got to do something about this. We're going to jump to verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. So he's telling her, look, don't think that just because you're in the king's house, you're going to be safe. No, this is coming for you too. Watch this, verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place, but thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Mordecai is like, look, you've been put in this position just for this purpose right here. For what's going on, this is why you've been put in the position that you're in. Verse 16. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Hadassah says, you know what? She tells Mordecai, look, you, Zayla, cover your head. She tells Mordecai, you and the rest of the Jews, y'all go and fast for 3 days. Fast for 3 days. Don't eat nothing. Don't drink nothing. No food, no water. Right? No food, no water for 3 days. Now that's a fast. Y'all be going through it just fasting for 1 day on the Day of Atonement with no food and water. Now picture going 3 days. But that's how an important issue this was. That's how urgent this was. Because hey, their whole existence right now is being threatened. So she's saying, y'all do it, I'm gonna do it. My chamber maids, they're gonna do it with me. Nobody's eating or drinking for 3 days straight. Right? Real quick, we're gonna grab a real quick precept. Matthew 17 and 21. And then we go keep it moving. Matthew 17 and verse 21. Okay, yeah. Matthew 17 and 21. Howbeit, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, right? Because that's what they're doing right now. They're saying, look, it's urgent. We need a 911. Okay, it's a 911 moment. We got to come together, and all of us as a people, which is Second Chronicles, it said, what if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways, fast, seek my face, then will I hear from heaven. Right? So 911 happening. It's jumping off. Chapter 5. We're just going to get verse 2. This is book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 2. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, because Haman, and then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther hath said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king hath said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, he moved for him, nor moved for him. He was full of indignation against Mordecai. So he's pissed because Mordecai has not acknowledged him. He didn't get out the way. He didn't stand up. Mordecai just there minding his business. He ain't thinking about Haman, right? But that pisses him off. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared by myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. So Haman's like, look, all this don't mean nothing because this dude is still alive. I need him dead. Right? We're going to jump to chapter 6. On that night, could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. So now the king, right, he's not able to sleep, and so he calls for the book. He calls for the book of the chronicles to come. Verse 2, and it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. All right, so this is actually important right here, right? We should actually read that. We're going to backtrack real quick to chapter 5, and we're going to read verse 14. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends, and in fact, we'll start at 13 real quick again. The book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 13. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. So again, Haman don't care about none of that. He want Mordecai dead. Then says Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. So now the gallows to be made, this is to hang Mordecai on, right? Because Haman wants Mordecai dead. He feels disrespected. He needs him dead. And so he commands to have these gallows made so that Haman can be hung on them. And they told him to go and talk to the king, right? So that that Mordecai can be hanged. But it's something that stands out to the king, right? In all of this. He's like, wait a minute. In fact, in chapter 6, it said, on that night could not the king sleep. So the king couldn't sleep. So his spirit was bothered. He was troubled, right? Because of, again, what had happened. Because Mordecai saved his life when his two doormen was plotting on him, right? We're going to read that. The book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity has been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. So the king was like, wait a minute, this man saved my life. He came forth about a plot that was being conspired to take my life. I mean, what did they do for this man? What honor was given to him? And his servants come in and they say, ain't nothing been done, right? They said nothing has been done for him. Okay, now let's go to verse number 4. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for them. Oh, Salakia. So actually the king had this, his spirit was troubled before Haman even came to him about hanging Mordecai. It was just to have the gallows built, right? And so now, before Haman gets to the king to tell him, oh, I want Mordecai hanged, the king has already, he was troubled, he was wrestling with something, and that was nothing but the Most High. That wasn't nothing but the Most High who was troubling his spirit, right? That was all the Most High. And we see that the Most High always has his hands on everything in all aspects of our life. The Most High has his hands on it. There's nothing that just happens by mistake. Everything that happens is exactly what's supposed to happen to bring us to the point or to the place where the Most High God wants us to be at. So, verse number 4 again. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was coming to the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? So Haman is going to think that the king is talking about him. Watch this, because this is important. But the king is asking about Mordecai. Because Mordecai, the king just had the books open. He had the chronicles open. And the king just found out that Mordecai saved his life. And what was his question to his servants? How was he honored? And they're like, yo, he wasn't honored. So now the king is going to Haman, and he's asking Haman, hey, how should I honor the man who has delighted me? Watch this. The Most High is beautiful. Verse 6. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. So Haman is thinking that this is him. So he's saying all of these things because these are the things that he wants, right? Because he thinks that the king wants to do. He's like, man, who else would the king take delight in besides me, right? So now he's pumped up. He's pumped up with pride. He's feeling himself, or he's smelling himself. And so he's like, yo, get the royal apparel. I want the cloak. I want the crown. I want the horse. I want to be riding on the king's horse, right? Verse 9, and let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal, whom the king delighted to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. Now, plot twist, right? Now Haman, hold on, wait a minute. To Mordecai, this is the dude that Mordecai hates. He hates. Salagi. This is the man that Haman hates. Haman hates Mordecai, right? He's been plotting. He's been plotting to get Mordecai killed. And now everything that he just said that he thought was going to go to him is going to Mordecai. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. How's that? The man that you plotted to have killed, you got to go and ride him and parade him through the city. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house, mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. We're going to jump to verse 7. Verse 7. Verse 7, we're going to get verse 3. Then Esther, the queen, answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. Right? I should have started actually at verse number 1, right? Because the setup was beautiful about how all of this went down. But basically, Haman then came to the banquet that the queen had asked him to, and so now she about to put it all on Front Street. She about to let the king know what's exactly going on. And so she tells him that Haman is the one that's done devised this wicked plan against them. Verse 7, and the king arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath went into the palace. I'm going to go to verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. All right, they're about to snatch him up out of there. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. So the same gallows that Haman was prepared, that he had prepared for Mordecai, he got hanged on those same gallows. Look, I want to grab a precept here real quick. Go to the book of Psalms. Get the book of Psalms, chapter 7. Actually, we're gonna get a couple different precepts. Get the book of Psalms, chapter 7. And we're gonna get verse 15. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 7, verse 15. It says, he made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own plate. This is pate. This is exactly what happened to Mordecai. Salakia, Haman, right? The same ditch that he was digging for Mordecai, he ended up falling in that ditch himself. The same trap, the same manner of judgment that he was trying to hand to Mordecai ended up coming back onto himself. Right? He fell into his own ditch. His own mischief, right, fell back on him. How he was conspiring, how he was conniving to have the Jews killed, how he was conniving to get Mordecai killed. You see how the Most High God set that and played that? How Esther was put into the position that she was put into just for this very purpose, to save the children of Israel. Right? Man, it's beautiful. We want to grab one more. Go to the book of Psalms. We're going to stay in the book of Psalms. We're going to get chapter 141 real quick. Psalms chapter 141. And we're going to start at verse number 8. 141 and verse 8. Book of Psalms chapter 141 and verse 8. But mine eyes are unto thee, O God, the Lord. In thee is my trust. Leave not my soul destitute. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins of the workers of iniquity. Watch this. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape. Right? And that's what happened. Hey, Haman fell into his own trap. He fell into his own net. what he was devising, how he tried to plan, and all the conniving that he was doing, even when he thought that he was the one that was to be honored and favored. Who did it end up being? It ended up being Mordecai, the same guy that he was trying to have hanged, the same guy that he was trying to have killed. Right? Going back to Esther, when Esther chapter 8. Let's go the book of Esther chapter 8, and let's go to verse 5. And said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eye, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. So now Esther is trying to get those letters reversed. Okay, verse 8. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is the month Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the rulers of the provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, and 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing, and according to their language. And he wrote in the king, Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries. Verse 13. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. All right, so here's the thing. So that first commandment that the king sent out, that the Jews were to be killed, right, because it was sealed, he could not reverse that commandment, right? That was a command. It was what it was. It was sealed with the king's seal. There was no taking it back. So what they did was he sent another commandment going forth now. In this next commandment, the new writing said, let's read it again, verse 13. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So anybody coming out to kill the Jews, the Jews had, you had to go ahead. You had the green light. You got the green light to avenge yourself on anybody that try to come up against you, right? The king couldn't do away with that first command that had gone forth. He couldn't take that back. So he had to send out another decree, right? Esther chapter 8, verse 16. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor, and in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Right? We're gonna keep on reading for time's sake. Let's go to the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 4. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. So everybody that was trying to get at the Jews, the Jews was putting it down. We had the green light. We was on go. We were on go at that point. Let's jump to verse 17 real quick. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same, rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. All right. So this is where we're at right now. Okay. This brings us to this feast day, Purim. Right? This is why we keep the feast day of Purim, because of this right here, because of how Hadassah saved our people. This our beautiful sister, who the Most High elevated for this very position, for this very reason. And this is why, I mean, sisters, y'all have such a important role in the kingdom. You have an important role. And you have to stop reducing yourself. You have to stop minimizing yourself. You have to stop being like the rest of this world. And this is why, the initial reason why I wanted to have my Banyathim on here with me tonight, because of how beautiful of a sister Hadassah was, and what she did for her people, how she went to bat for her people, how when it came down to it, she said, if I perish, I perish. But this sister, one, she couldn't have been even in that situation if she wasn't already holding herself in a high regard, because she got favor. She won favor from first of all the man who was getting all the women together for the king. She won favor in his eyes. Out of all the women, there's no telling how many women were brought to this moment, to this event, to become the queen. It makes me think of that fairy tale Cinderella, how when the decree for the prince went out and all of the women in the kingdom was trying to get ready, and all of them, I mean every woman in the kingdom was trying to go see if they could marry the prince. That's what it put me in the mind of. So you have women all throughout the provinces, beautiful women, all throughout the provinces, going for a year. Now, they were preparing their bodies for a full year. So that, I mean, like lotioning, perfuming, so that, I mean, they just smelled good. They looked good. They were soft. They were, as a word that's in the chat, they were feminine. They didn't have man qualities to them. They weren't wearing pants. These were women in every aspect of the word. They weren't trying to be a man. They weren't trying to be, oh, well, no, I don't need a man, and I'm not. No. They took care of themselves. They wasn't just out here spending time with any man that came across them. Anybody who wanted to speak. First of all, why are you just giving time to any and everybody who wants to talk to you? You're so much more special than that. But you diminish your value when you let each and everything out there speak to you. All right. So, I really wanted the young sisters to see how a sister from our nation basically moved an entire kingdom. Right? Let me finish reading this. So this is the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. So when we get into like gift giving, right? So in any of the feast days, if you want to give somebody a gift, you can give somebody a gift on any of the feast days. But this feast day right here, Purim, is a day in which we can give gifts. You are to give gifts, right? On Purim. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, Purim is like our Christmas. I don't like to think of it like that. But Purim is a day in which we can exchange gifts. Okay. Read it on. Book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly. Right? So this is something that we are supposed to do yearly. We're supposed to honor Purim on the 14th day of the month Adar, which is today. Right? Today, when the sun went down, began our 14th day of the 12th month. And tomorrow, this is a 2-day feast. Right? Purim is a 2-day feast. It starts on the 14th day and it goes through the 15th day. All right, exactly. Yeah, gift giving is for Purim rather than dedication. And so I'll say this. So the gift giving for dedication, that was something that actually comes from Amalek, or from the small hats, from the people who currently inhabit the land. That's their custom. Our custom was not that. And in fact, their custom is they give a gift on every night of dedication. The Bible says that nowhere. We can't find that in the Bible nowhere, to give a gift on every day of dedication. That's something that they do. Now, what we can see in the Bible is that the Bible says that we can exchange gifts for Purim. All right. Verse 22. As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them. Let's jump down to verse 26. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them and upon their seed and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing, and according to their appointed time every year. Of the appointed time every year, we are to keep these days. It's a commandment. Why wouldn't you want to keep this feast day? And I always take issue when it comes to the Christian church that so many of our people are involved with. They keep every holiday, every pagan holiday, but do not keep none of the feast days that are in the Bible. That should be a red flag for somebody. It should be sirens going off in the back of your mind. Like, wait a minute. If we have this right here in the Bible and we are supposed to be Bible believers and Bible followers, why don't we keep none of the feast days that's in the Bible? It makes no sense to me. Reading on, verse 28. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. We are to keep it. We got to read that again. Because this is nobody can say, oh, well, that was for that time period. We don't do it no more. We don't have to do that no more. That was for that time period. It says, verse 28, and that these days should be remembered and kept. Not just remembered, but you're supposed to keep it throughout every generation. So that generation, the generation after that one, the generation after that one, last time I checked, we're still generating. There's another generation that I had to take off the screen because they were kind of lackluster and not really paying kind of, that generation. I don't even know what generation that is. Is it Generation Z? I don't know what generation we on right now. But it said to keep out of every generation. Every family is supposed to be doing this. Every family is supposed to be honoring this, remembering this day. Every province, every city, it don't matter where you're at. Gen Z, okay, yeah, they're Gen Z. Gen Alpha, is it Alpha or Z? Right? Every province, every city. So people can't say, "Oh no, we're not in Israel. We can't keep it." No, it said every city, every province. It don't matter where you're at. Besides, we're supposed to be practicing the righteous acts. We're supposed to be rehearsing the righteous acts. Oh, Alpha for Z. All right, got it. Gen Z and Gen Alpha. That's crazy. All right. Nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. Right. So you're supposed to teach your kids. You're supposed to go over these with your children. I tried to get your crazy self since you want to be all up in the camera. Right. So Salagia family. All right. Well, that's it. Sorry that I really started to speed through. But we've been on for almost 2 hours. So all praise to the Most High for everybody that stayed and went through and learned about Purim, what it is, why we do it. All praises, all praises. This is how we get one step closer. This is how we get one step closer, and we continue to kill off that old man, and we continue to put on a new man. We continue to change. We continue to let the word of the Most High God change us. All right. We continue to let the word of the Most High God change us. Okay. In fact, I want to grab a precept for that really fast. I'm gonna grab a preset for that. For that. Right. What did it say? All praises to the Most High. It is a beautiful feast. It is. Now, I think that, all of the feasts really are beautiful feasts. All of them are beautiful feasts. I love this one. I think actually my favorite feast day would probably be Feast of Dedication. I love the Feast of Dedication myself personally. I also love Tabernacles too. I love Tabernacles. I love Purim too. Purim is just a much shorter feast than the other ones. You know, the other ones are 7 days. Purim is only 2 days, right? But here's the precept that I wanted. This is the book of Romans, chapter 10 and verse 17. It says, "So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." So this is what increases our faith. This is what helps us to grow as disciples. This is what helps us increase our faith. So the Bible says that we're supposed to be able to answer, we're supposed to be ready to answer anybody for the reasons of our faith. Well, faith comes by hearing, and hearing of the word of God. This is what increases our faith. So all praise to the Most High. Hey, family, I'm glad that everybody stuck here. Right. Hey, there go my brother right there. My brother Barak. Hey, Shalom King, Yabashim Yoshai Barakatah. Continue to endure, continue to put in the work, continue to stay 10 toes down. We're in that season where it's a lot of craziness that's going on in the nation. It's a lot of attacks. It's a lot of spiritual attacks that's happening. Brothers is falling out, sisters is falling out. So keep praying, stay fasting, and by all means, stay in the book. Stay in the book that was given to us, the 1611 King James Bible, right? Before you start venturing into any other crazy books, hey, you got to know this one. And I don't think ain't nobody go master this one and be like, oh yeah, I know that, right? It's a lot in this book. So focus on that, man. I love y'all. I love y'all. All praises to the Most High. Again, the water, for tapping in with me, and enjoy your feast. Shalom.
Yeah. Feel it. See the smile on my face? Do you know what it cost me? Tell me they love me, then they turn around and cross me. They say shalom, but wanna see me in a coffin. One for but real spill, I would've lost it. When I'm never present when they talking about me, and that's often. No sweat, I'm suited for it like the office. Cause betrayal had to learn to move with caution. Never shown too much, that's what it taught me. Dropping salt, they just give me more flavor. Keep the law, they just give me more favor. Think first before you approach and engage them. Steady spirits wanna know their behavior. We was hurting but couldn't show that it fazed us. Down and out, we lost everything, all we had was no prayers. What's the use of the game if it don't come with no players? I was tired of that. You full of pride, I can't vibe with that. What you speak, you can die for that. Talk ain't cheap, so blessed the neighbors think we selling dope. 15 with the Beretta in his coat, and they seldom get a letter from his folks. Contracts by a body politician selling hope. Last time he saw his son, he was being deployed. Being violent on the thing that seemed to fill that void. See no evil, neither spoken, he ain't hearing that noise. Reminiscing, sipping whiskey, it's just him and his boys. That's the old days. Dancing with his wife, listening to the OJs. Memphis 10, Crystal Palace on the rollerblades. Remember leaving Save a Lot with the Flavor Aid. New Park Cemetery where them Westwood soldiers laid. These black problems. Peck Station 12 hours cause back problems. Trigger finger itching, elders trying to scratch off them. Private prisons making stacks off us. And they spirits how they feeling me. Pride come before destruction and honor after humility. They get offended by the truth when they used to lies. When you stand against the system, you get crucified like Messiah did. I wash my hands with niggas like Pilate did. In the driveway, late night, freestyling with secrets made me better. I'm forever grateful. My city just like Gotham, to some it might look appealing. Filled with crooks and villains, you can get your issue. I'm talking books a million, we really need some healing. When it snowed, the homeless on the bridges. Know it's on me, bundled in my britches. Bless my fam, curse who come against it.